It's now time for Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, live on the Woodward Sports Network. Every day, 2 to 4 p.m. Starring Ryan Ermanni, Michigan great and former NFL baller Braylon Edwards, and of course, Tom Mazawey. Let's talk some sports.
You know what time it is. That's right. It is Monday, April 3rd, 2023. Ermanni and Edwards with Maz, Woodward Sports Network, WoodwardSports.com. Braylon Edwards, good afternoon to you, my friend.
Yeah, you know what time it is. It's us versus y'all today, baby. You know what it is, baby. It's black versus white today. Oh, my God. Every day we get coerced in black versus white. My God. Oh, man, we'll get into that later.
That is so fantastic.
Great weekend, man. It's a great weekend. It was sports overload, sensory overload, man. You got WrestleMania Saturday, Sunday. It's entertainment. It's entertainment, which clearly all sports are now. But you get WrestleMania Saturday, Sunday. You get baseball. I'm not lying, man. These are like the bases winding out a little bit. You know, the pitch clock. Baseball is fun.
Didn't
More
help
hits,
the Tigers.
Well, they're gonna suck regardless. And they can give Scott Harris a couple years, but golf, like I was just flicking, and I'm turning them from one channel to the next. I'm watching Aaron Judge hit a home run, followed by Giancarlo Stanton turn it back. I'm watching San Diego State win on a buzzer beater. Turn it back. I'm watching Caitlin Clark drop 41. It was sensory overload. This
Show's
week.
over, everybody. Braylon. Thanks. Good night, everybody.
But I say that to say this. With all of that, the most amazing thing I saw this weekend is the most amazing thing I've ever seen in basketball. It's the most amazing basketball play I have ever seen. If you haven't seen the Wembanyama play, dribble tween, step back, three-pointer, shoots the three, disappears out the shot, and all of a sudden misses it, follows his own miss, and tip dunks it. I've never seen anything like that, and I instantly got pissed because I'm like, wow, why is the NBA draft like the NFL draft? Because we know we would already be getting Wembanyama, but now we're going to end up picking Phil.
All this losing Braylon Edwards would be worth it for the Detroit Pistons if they can go ahead and get that number one pick. Tom Mazawey, Good afternoon to you.
Ebony and ivory.
Oh, my God.
Lives together in perfect
You guys seen the Michael Jackson?
harmony.
Side by side on my piano.
My brother, it don't matter.
Braylon
Hey,
walks
guys.
in today. It's us versus y'all
I'm
today.
just saying, baby.
I swear,
Oh,
man.
man.
By the way, the Tigers, remember when you were a kid, you playing wiffle ball? Wiffle ball's the greatest game ever, by the
Love
way.
wiffle
And you got
ball.
the skinny wiffle ball bat, the
Yeah.
yellow. And then you get that big orange
red
club
one.
bat. The Tigers need
the
those.
Bam Bam.
Yeah.
The Tigers need the Bam Bam bats.
Oh, my God.
They suck.
But, man,
They suck.
I was told we had 2 new batting coaches. My God.
It is so bad. I don't even know how to quantify how bad the Tigers are right now. Maybe we do that in a little bit. But
You guys ever hear of Trace Thompson?
yeah,
The
the
little-
Klay Thompson's brother, right?
Klay Thompson's brother, who the Tigers had last year. They brought him up from the minors, and then the Dodgers called him, and they're like, hey, what do you want for Trace Thompson? Tigers like, just give us a bag of balls. They got a bag of balls for him. And I know he's not going to be the superstar, greatest guy in the world, but last year he had a hell of a finish. Of course, they went to the playoffs. And then yesterday, or 2 days ago, he hits 3 home runs in one game. And I just want to say, anybody that gets the hell out of here all of a sudden blossoms. That's all. Like Eugenio Suarez for all those years with
Isaac
the Reds.
Paredes.
Isaac Paredes is a little bit on that way with the Reds. It's very sad as a huge baseball fan that I got nothing to root for my home team.
Guys, lots to discuss today. Big news in the NFL regarding the number 3 pick of the Cardinals, and the number 4 pick might have been decided. We will talk about Jalen Carter as well, what he is not going to be doing ahead of the NFL draft. But we want to start with the story of the day. Shockingly, it is about the women's, man. It is about the NCAA Women's College Basketball National Championship. It is, and I do blame you, Braylon Edwards.
Yeah, you're blamed.
What, for paying attention?
If it wasn't for you talking about how great of a basketball player Caitlin Clark has been for about a year and a half now.
Yeah.
I don't think I would have paid attention. The reason why I even thought to put on ABC yesterday to watch the women's basketball Final Four was because after a year and a half of you telling me how great of a player Caitlin Clark was and how the college basketball, the female basketball fan has been telling me about Caitlin Clark for a year and a half, I felt it was incumbent upon me as a sports fan to finally check it out. And it was worth my while. Yeah, it was worth my while. She's a fantastic
Friday night was
player.
great.
She's amazing. Too bad she didn't win the national championship, but she's amazing. And first time I saw her on TV, because I heard people talk about her, and first time I saw her, I'm watching the game, and I see 1-3, she chucks up from deep. She chucks it up and it goes in, and I'm like, all right, some lucky stuff. And then you see another one, and then you see another one, and then you see another one, and you see the box score at the end of the game is 39, 12, and 12. I'm like, this isn't normal. Like, she's different. And so just to watch her, man, she's electric. Like, she's put female basketball, like, prime center on the map. Like, 41, triple-double, 41, never been done, men's or women. Like, the stuff that she's done, it's got people watching female basketball. Now they're more chippy. Now they're more feisty. Now they're more athletic. Like, it's a much better game to watch now. They're coming to their own. And, yeah, last night was no different. And obviously LSU, shout out to LSU Tigers, go Tigers with a G. You get it. But Kim Mulkey, man, she arguably has
That's the head coach for LSU if you don't follow women's basketball.
Yeah, she's the head coach of LSU. Just returned back to Louisiana. Went to Louisiana State. Won 3 titles in college before she was beat by USC. Then she won 3 titles with Baylor. And now she won last night at LSU, a team that's never won a national championship. So shout out, kudos to them. She has her wild style, but it was great, man. I told you it was going to be better than the men's. Like, this is like yesterday was the Super Bowl. And then tonight is the Pro Bowl. Anybody watching?
I forgot tonight had a game, actually.
Thank you.
I literally forgot there was a national championship game tonight over the weekend because Saturday's games were really good. But all of the talk today has been surrounding this gesture, this John Cena, you can't see me gesture, and the narrative behind it. I'll say this. You want to go first, Braylon, or do you want me to go?
It doesn't matter.
You go. You want me to go?
You go ahead. You go ahead and go. I agree with Matt.
If you don't know, you've got this black player, Angela Reese.
Yes.
You've got this white player, Caitlin Clark.
Yes.
And you've got Angela Reese doing the you can't see me, pointing the ring finger to Caitlin Clark, kind of following her around for about 15 seconds. It was captured on social media. It was shown millions of times online. The image of it, if you don't watch anything, you have an image in your mind.
Yeah.
You don't know context. You don't know about anything about women's basketball. You just see this player, Angela Reese, do this to Caitlin Clark, and everybody has formed an opinion on it already. It seems like all the white people are in one camp and all the black people are in another camp. It just feels like that.
No, it is. That's a fact.
Well, it is, and you know,
there might be a couple stragglers.
Let me just finish this point too. Let me just finish this point because I think it's an important one to make. There is criticism up and down the line. There's a lot of name calling going on. And I think this is one of the most overblown stories in sports, period. We should not be talking like this, period. And I think a couple of reasons why is because, A, you've never watched a women's basketball game in your life, so you don't view women athletes the same way you do men's athletes.
That's true. When we've been watching women play for a while now.
Not me.
But yeah, to your point, people have been watching women play for
most people don't watch women play.
I don't think it matters women or men.
I do because men do this all the time. I absolutely, men do this all the time. baseball players showing up pitchers, basketball players staring down players going down the three-point line. Patrick Beverly is one of those guys that really kind of trolls his. We don't say anything about it. You know what I mean? But because it's a woman who does this, whether maybe you feel different about it or something like that. I just think this is one of the most overblown stories in sports, and I think it's almost used to divide further, and it happens all the time in sports. Would I have, if you're nitpicking, would I have rather it come in the context of a game, maybe after a steal and lay-in, go do it, as opposed to during a timeout? Sure, fine, I don't care. I just don't care about this story, and I almost think this helps women's basketball.
It does.
Because you now have people paying attention. Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I never heard of Angela Reese's name before yesterday. And not only that, I've never heard of her name before the tweet from ESPN. Never heard of her name before. I watched because I wanted to see what Caitlin Clark's hype is about.
Right.
And maybe, just maybe, just maybe, there's a little bit of a Larry Bird, Magic Johnson type rivalry that can go on to the WNBA now. Maybe people will pay a little bit more attention
that would be cool.
to women's sports. But yesterday was the first women's game I ever watched in my life. Yeah. Like, sat there and watched it. Not just had it on in the background. I can't even remember ever having it on, to be honest with you. Shame on me, perhaps, but I'm just being honest with you.
Yeah, and it's funny, you talk about Larry Bird and Magic, and what was that in the 80s? That was black versus white. That was the white Boston versus black LA, the hop and the pop and the fashion.
Except that was on Magic's side, just to tell you know. That's true. I hated Bird.
Man, I know.
Okay.
This last night was about two different things. One was about men versus women sports and how men are able to act a certain way and women are held to a different standard. And then it was about walking into a trap. I saw the setup. Like, what happens is these bots on Twitter, bots on Instagram, these fake accounts, the trolls, like the setups, the blog sites, the apps, they set us up to divide us. I saw it coming. Soon as Caitlin Clark did that to Louisville. Now, Caitlin Clark made the gesture first when she did the John Cena to Louisville, and then she did it again against South Carolina. Oh, Twitter buried those highlights. Twitter didn't show much of Caitlin Clark doing that, so a lot of people didn't even necessarily see Caitlin Clark do it first. Soon as, so now that happens, now you're setting it up. Now they're showing Iowa their pregame warm-up, and they're listening to 2000s pop, soft rock music, and then they got they show LSU's game preparation. They listen to Lil Wayne and NBA Youngboy, and it's just different as rap. So they were painting the picture. They were setting it up. They were setting it up the whole time for black versus white. And then when she does that, at the end of the game, after Angela Reese and LSU was about to win, and she does that, and now everybody's on the other side like, oh, she's classy, she's tacky. She's not taunting. She's simply reminding you of what you did. Like, Caitlin Clark never did that in the Big Ten. She had emotion, she get hype, but Caitlin Clark never was doing all this to people in the Big Ten. She never did that in Chrysler. She never did that in Michigan State, but she did that against Louisville in the tournament. She did that against South Carolina in the tournament. And Angela Reese and LSU was like, we ain't going for that SHIT over here. And they did it back to her because they won or they were about to win. That was it. That's cat. We watched, you talking about Steph Curry. Steph Curry, he did this the whole playoffs last year.
That's my point,
He did this the whole playoffs last year.
That's exactly my point.
But it's always about women. They want women to act a certain way in sports. Remember when Serena would get loud and mad and they're like, oh, she's too loud, she's too rough. They don't want women to show that emotion, that frustration. That's for men to be emotional. Women, you have to be prissy. You have to be, no, it's a certain way you do things. They got emotion too. National championship is on the line. America, we blew that moment last night. That was supposed to be a great moment. Angela Reese, some poop talking. They could have shook hands in the line.
I blame ESPN for that.
100%.
I blame ESPN 100%. For that.
This could have been a great night. Right. LSU, first time they win a national championship. Caitlin Clark, let's be honest, that team's not that good. They shouldn't even have been there. No. They were there because she's that damn good. So, could have been a great night, got ruined, and now we're sitting there talking about black versus white versus how great Caitlin Clark is and how great Kim Mulkey and that team played last night. We blew it.
Hey, Iowa was a 14-point dog to South Carolina, and they pulled a huge upset. Yeah. That was the big upset. And when Caitlin did the old John Cena thing, she did it to her bench, and she did it quick. She didn't go after any players, Bray.
She did the Louisville player too, though.
Angel went after her, and I'll tell you the reason is because they spoke before the game. LSU said, hey, Iowa and Caitlin Clark disrespected South Carolina. They weren't guarding, and I forgot South Carolina's best player.
Right.
I forgot her name, but they weren't guarding her. Did you see her at the three-point line?
Yeah, and she went.
And
that
everyone
was
back.
the play to me. That was the play to me where she goes like that.
Right.
You know.
So everyone said on LSU said that's disrespectful. We're going to stick it back to them, and they stuck it to them. They killed them. It wasn't even a game. LSU just ran them off the court. But then Angel chased her around the court. She wanted to get in her face. What should have happened was the Iowa head coach should have let her should have took Caitlin out with a minute to go in the game. None of that would have even happened. Take her out. She should have been taken out so she could get a proper cheer from that crowd in Dallas. And they were great, by the way. Did you ever hear a better crowd than that? That place was lit. Loud. Instead, they left her on the court, and then you get the bad sportsmanship. I thought it was bad sportsmanship because she chased her around the court. And Caitlin, she held her own. And you know what? They're going to meet again, and we'll see how it goes. But chasing her around the court was the reason that most of the people got upset. At least that's what upset me. And, you know, I'm okay with it because they're going to get to meet again. Yeah. And we'll see how it goes, and they settle it on the court.
But again, I think ESPN really screwed this thing up.
They didn't screw it. They got ratings, bro.
Yeah. Well, and that's the point. You know, how much are you willing to really kind of help create this massive crater of a divide just to get a couple of clicks on your website? You know, I mean, I just thought that was in terrible taste, and some of the language that was being used today was not helpful to any conversation. And again, this is sports, and part of sports is trash talking. Part of sports is taunting.
Yeah.
Do we like it? Do we try to teach our kids to be a little bit better? Yes, but we all know you got third graders popping threes, going like, you know, walking back. So it happens in the course of a game, and I just think to call out this situation is, again, one of the most overblown stories I've ever seen in my life.
All we've asked you to ever do is just be consistent. Just be consistent. That's all we've ever asked. Like when Caitlin Clark does it, nothing's said. Angela Reese, so what? She followed around. It's a national championship. The girl's excited. She transferred. Like, know her story first. Like, be consistent. Like when Cam Newton is dancing in the end zone and everybody's all up in arms, but meanwhile, Aaron Rodgers is discount double checking all up the damn field and you don't say anything to him, but Cam's this, he's a problem. Just be consistent. Like, if you're not going to say nothing to Caitlin, don't say nothing to Angela Reese. And to be honest, this is great for the sport. It's competition.
It is great for the sport.
Both of them, like Matt said, they're coming back next year. You don't think we already got a rivalry now? Everybody wants to see Iowa and LSU in the national championship next year. It's good for the sport. Just be consistent.
I totally agree with you. I do think it is good for the sport. And a couple of people pointing out the punch and the handshake line in the Bowling Green game as well. You know, the girls are going through the handshake line, and there was a punch. I think that's great for the sport.
It is.
You know, you can call it. I think it's great for the sport. It is bringing awareness to the sport, and it does tell people that the women's game is every bit as competitive as the men. These female athletes are every bit as competitive as the male athletes, and I'm not so sure many people view it like that.
What did Tom Brady do last week?
He bought a cat.
He bought
WNBA team.
He bought a WNBA team. He bought the Vegas Aces. He's a partner in that.
Man,
he ain't a dummy.
I thought it was. Can I just say this too about Caitlin Clark? You know, when Caitlin Clark did this, because I've seen the video, I never saw the video before yesterday.
Yeah.
When Caitlin Clark did this, that didn't bother me as much as this bothered me. When she waved off that player,
right?
Because that was to somebody's face.
That had
in
the ball,
game.
mind you.
Yeah, that was to somebody's face. And I don't even want to say that bothered me, but I thought that was because it was to a player. Yeah. I didn't think this was to any one player when she did it, but that wave off was, and I'll tell you that opened my eyes up to a whole new competitiveness in the women's game that I was like, okay, I see how this thing is going there. It is.
You know what I like? I wish these women could teach the men how to shoot free throws.
Yeah,
because they can really shoot free throws. I know the ball's a little smaller,
Right.
but man, they make it look easy.
And again, David Mitchell says on the chat, I think this is really a point because everybody's so dug in on this. Don't taunt someone unless you're willing to be taunted.
Exactly.
Now, next year, Caitlin Clark wins. She's got every reason to do that. We'll see what happens. I think this brings a rivalry. What did we talk about all last week?
Rivals and storylines.
These players in sports are too friendly with each other. Nobody hates anybody like the Avs and the Red Wings did back in the late 90s.
Yeah.
Now you finally have two players or two teams that don't like each other a whole lot. You've got a rivalry. This will make me watch the next LSU Iowa game.
Yeah.
Period.
Because the thing about it is, it's different. Like, watching WNBA versus NBA for years, you're trying to figure out, how we, like, hypothetically play around. It's like, all right, how can we make WNBA more watchable, pay them more money or turn? And the infamous joke is always lower the rims. Because they out here dunking, they jamming, like, it's more entertaining. But that's the only way that we saw the game being able to catch up. The game being in terms of viewership. Well, we didn't think that you have a girl shooting from the logo like Steph Curry and shooting as efficiently from the logo as Steph Curry. We didn't realize that women in their travel leagues, they stay in the state in high school and middle school. They don't travel like men. So men know each other coming out of high school, going into college. Everybody's friends. It starts in 8th grade and it continues in the NBA. These women don't leave the state and they don't like each other.
I loved it, and I hope there's more of it.
Yeah.
And we'll just go from there. And by the way, somebody pointed this out in the chat as well. You never heard Caitlin Clark say a bad word about this. She didn't say she hated this. She doesn't have a problem with it.
She was extremely, extremely great at the microphone at the end.
She doesn't have a problem with it, so nobody should.
You know what it's like? It's like the one player when a team they throw a flag and everybody on that team, like the fans, like boo, and you see the player that the flag is on, like, nah, that was me. y'all can be quiet. That was me.
Right.
Caitlin took a number down, though. I can promise you that, and she's going to remember that.
And that's great.
Yeah.
And she should. And that's part of sports. That's what athletes do.
Absolutely.
That's what athletes do. Somebody gets the best of me today, I'm going to work my tail off to get the best of them tomorrow. We got to get a.
Last thing I was going to say is, like, if I'm her, I'm mad at my team. Because I had to look up the numbers. You cannot tell me somebody has ever scored 31 on the losing team in the finals.
It was one of the highest scoring.
No, it's number one.
Number one. And it will be probably the most highly rated women's basketball game ever played when the ratings come out as well. Guys, I don't know how much you watched. I don't know how much you could stomach. But I do want to talk a little Tigers baseball and just how bad that Detroit sports are. And then we'll do a little NFL draft talk next. But the Detroit sports scene is just horrific. And we've got the numbers to back that up. We'll do it next. But first, a message from Cousins Maine Lobster.
Yes, sir. Cousins Maine Lobster loves it. You know it, man. They have the best of the Maine coast of Detroit. They're bringing it right here. The best, most succulent lobster from Maine right here. But they're 2 food trucks rolling around the city. You can see their event schedule, of course, on cousinsmainelobster.com. Click on that QR code right there, and it'll take you ahead. Matter of fact, if you order ahead and go pick up your food at Cousins Maine Lobster at one of their food trucks, you start gaining points and start saving money. cousinsmainelobster.com.
By now you know me, Christina Gennari, as the obvious choice in real estate. And you know my website, soldchristina.com, as your #1 resource for buying or selling your home. Myself, along with my amazing staff, pride ourselves on making your home buying and selling experience a relaxing and easy one. Come see why we are the obvious choice. Christina Gennari at soldchristina.com, the obvious choice in real estate.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men for an award-winning haircut experience and automatically enter for your chance to win not 1, but 2 vehicles of your choice, courtesy of Les Stanford Buick GMC of Ferndale. That's right, 2 cars, 1 for you, 1 for your wife, your girlfriend, or your best bud. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, open 7 days a week. Walk in anytime, sign in, sit down, watch your favorite team play, and before you know it, your hair will be game ready. Let one of our talented, award-winning stylists make you look handsome and clean. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
Woodward Avenue, the first paved road in America. Woodward Sports, the first sports network born in Detroit and made for Detroit.
Hey, welcome back. WoodwardSports.com. Ryan Ermanni, Braylon Edwards, Tom Mazawey. We've got Matt Broder in for JB today. Fletch is here as always. Lots to get to on a Monday. The weekend not kind to the Detroit Tigers, Tom Mazawey. This was as horrific a start as I think you could possibly get. The Detroit Tigers get swept in Tampa 21-3. Yeah. They were outscored 21-3. Tom Mazawey, was this a weekend that is just an indicator of how bad this season is going to be, or is this just one of those weekends in baseball? Yeah. They didn't have it going.
It's probably both, right? They're not a good team. We all know that. That's simple. No, anyone that's listening or watching us can tell you that. They're not good. Tampa Bay, by the way, has their number. Tampa Bay's a pretty good team. They're not the best team in the league, but, man, they just kill you. They'll single you to death, and they got great pitching. And they got a 30-year-old on the hill yesterday that might win some awards this year as well. He's an excellent pitcher. Springs is a great pitcher. The Tigers just don't have the matchups to go with them, man. And it just does not look like we're going to be any better. But we have a new general manager. He's tinkering. He's moving players around. He made that trade with the Phillies. Our leadoff hitter, Matt Vierling, didn't have a great weekend.
No, boy, did he not have a great. He was 0 for the series with 3 strikeouts.
Did not have a great weekend, and his name is out there. People are already making fun of him. That we got to wait on. You got to wait on. Some of these players are going to turn out to be pretty good. I got to go with our guy, Scott Harris. He knows more than we do. And if he's bringing these players here to improve this team, I'll believe it when I see it, but I do believe in him, and I think he'll get it right eventually. It's unfortunate he came here and really the cupboard is bare, and if those rookie pitchers and these guys like Torkelson don't start to turn things around and become the major league players they're supposed to be, then we're in for another long, long decade of waiting. It's already been almost 10 years.
And I think that's the problem, too, when you watch Tigers baseball is, okay, they got rid of Verlander. They got rid of Scherzer. They got rid of J.D. Martinez.
Show me why.
They got rid of all of these players, and they got nothing in return. There is nobody that this organization got that will help this team moving forward. And that's a really hard pill to swallow when you're in the middle of a rebuild and you feel like you've got some pieces or some young players, some prospects that you could potentially go on the next phase of your rebuild with some of these players and fill in a couple of holes, but they have nobody to fill any hole.
If you remember last year, Chris Ilitch coming out and saying the rebuild's over, that's what makes it that much worse.
It is a complete restart, Braylon. And look,
we just restarted.
I am not going to judge these players based on 3 games. I'm not. But it is becoming increasingly more difficult to think Spencer Torkelson is going to be a solution. And there is no guarantee Riley Green is going to be a solution. We think and we hope that will be the case. But I'm not sure that is set in stone that either of these 2 players are going to be around when this team competes for championships. And hopefully that's relatively soon. But I just don't. Torkelson starting the year 111 doesn't help.
I haven't heard anything since he's been here. Like whenever his name has been mentioned, Ryan, I've never heard anything good. With the exception of how exceptionally well he defends at first base. Outside of that, there's been nothing good. Hasn't had any good hitting streaks. You're starting the year. When you have a traditionally bad year, not traditionally, but when you have a historically bad year as it relates to hitting, as it relates to your numbers, as it relates to your percentage, and then you start that very next season where people are looking at you like, hey, how was his off season? What did he work on? Let's see it. Let's see it in action. This is year 2. I have to get humping. And you start off 1-11. I get it. Baseball it's a game of runs. That's why 3 out of 10 is good. 1-11 out the gate. I don't want to hit the panic button, but I think we already hit that last year.
Listen, man, opening day here in Detroit's always special. It's coming up on Thursday. There's a good chance they're going to be 0-6. They're playing the Astros. Okay, the world champs are waiting for them. I just don't see if they lost 23 to what was it, 21-3?
It was 21-3 this
If
weekend.
Tampa pounded them 21-3.
They had 14 hits in 3 games.
Can you imagine what the Astros are going to do to them these next 3 days?
Ouch.
They might score 40 runs. The Tigers might score a half a dozen, maybe, if they're lucky.
If that.
If that.
If that.
Listen, it's disheartening. It really is disheartening. And I watched a lot of games this weekend, and a lot of fun games. The games are obviously different now. Bigger bases. They're stealing bases. You got the clock. Even though I'm disappointed at the TV, they don't put the clock up for us. You notice?
No, it's there. It's in the base paths.
Is it?
Yeah.
Because I didn't see it.
Yeah. Do you know, the diamond that lets you know who's on base?
Yeah.
The number's in the middle
Really?
of that. Yeah.
Well, I must have had my glasses off at the time.
You got to squint to see it.
Yeah.
You got to squint to see it, but it's there.
Okay, so I'll pay more attention. Mm-hmm. But you know what? 2 years ago, we thought they were taking that next step.
Yep.
That's when Chris Ilitch came out and said, hey, finally,
The rebuild's
the
over.
rebuild is over. And then last year, they fell on their face. What'd they lose? 96 games last year? Okay.
Yeah,
This
too
year,
many to count.
This year,
Too
they're on pace for that again. Just by looking at the squad, they're on pace for that again, unless a miracle happens. And go to Southpaw Slabs here in the booth. Matt Broder, he's a baseball guy. He used to pitch, matter of fact, in the majors. Matt, tell us a little bit about this team. Are we panicking too much? Who are you looking forward to? Maybe even getting better and showing up that maybe Scott Harris is going to put a decent team on this field.
Yeah, I think we're panicking a little too much to start, but I don't think the things we're panicking about are that outrageous. This is the type of team that some of these new rule changes are almost built for. It's these young, exciting players. Without the shift, they've got a little more space to get a hit. There's a lot of new athletes coming in, or the players on the in the lineup are more athletic than some of the other teams. So we want to see them on base and stealing second, stealing third, taking advantage of these new rules. We didn't see that at all in this first series.
You can't steal first.
You can't see
Right.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's a great line. But one of Mads' favorite lines that he's used in the past. We suffer for our soup here in Detroit.
We do.
I think there's a little more suffering ahead of us, but I do like that Scott Harris is taking control of this team and trying new things. I have faith in A.J. Hinch and Chris Fetter, the pitching coach, who's a former Michigan Wolverine. I think they're doing the right things to turn things around. We just haven't seen it yet, and I want to see some more excitement leading into opening day. We just need something.
I'm all for the suffering. I am all for the suffering.
We do it well.
Just tell me one player that's on this team that's going to be around when they're winning championships or competing for championships. Because I just don't see it. You hope it's Torkelson and Green and Mize and Skubal. But are you sure? Are you sure that those guys are guys that are going to be around to play and really play well and help contribute to a championship? Are you sure? And I don't think so. You're talking about some 4 picks there. I don't want to say they're not wasted picks.
Not yet, at least.
Not yet.
Getting close.
But I'll tell you, man. It is in Green. I don't think it's even fair to even talk about in
he's gonna
this
be
room.
fine.
Yeah, we hope.
Yeah.
We don't know.
No.
That's my problem.
Like, we let guys leave here, and like I said, I just brought up Trace Thompson for the hell. It would have been nice to have him in the lineup. I know he's 31 years old, whatever, but he's a good hitter, and he could have hit on this team. You have guys that can't hit on this team. We let Michael Fulmer walk. Guess what? He's closing for the Cubs. You just kind of make better decisions going forward.
Well, that's why what's his name got fired.
Alavila.
That's why Alavila's not here anymore. So I understand that. But I don't care about who's fired and who's hired. What I care about is there anything you have to have a tiny little bit of hope to say, you know what? I want to go to the park tonight because I want to see this kid develop. I mean, you're really kind of walking a tightrope here, Braylon, as far as just losing an entire generation of Tigers fans and even sports fans, really, that we'll talk about next.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody. I think there's one player on the team that I'm still optimistic of, and that's Spencer Turnbull, the pitcher. Like that's it. I think he still can be something special. Outside of that, I've seen too much inconsistency out of the players that I've watched now for the last 2 years. Obviously, Javi Baez last season was his first year, so at some point you would think Javi has to and get better.
And if he does that, he's probably opting out next year.
100%.
Or at the end of this year, because he got an opt-out.
But if you look at his numbers have steadily declined like over the past 4 years. So this is
who wants to pay him?
If you see what you see, you know what it is.
But that's just it. He might have to take your money because nobody else is going to want to pay him. How bad is it for the Detroit sports fan? We have the exact numbers for you to date.
They're ugly.
Do it ugly. Bring a blindfold. But first, a message from the Foaling Warehouse.
You could always have a great average at the Foaling Warehouse. Have some great times with your friends and your families down in Hamtramck, Michigan. Couple ways to play it. $12 unlimited open play or a private lane reservation for yourself and 12 others. Put them all on one lane for 2 hours. Will run you $120, less than $10 a head, and multiple full bars. If you're thirsty like us right now, you can get a drink there at the Foaling Warehouse, and over 100 beers on that beer menu. And of course, you got to get your Foal on, right? Don't forget that $2 mystery beer machine. FoalingWarehouse.com.
It's a great day to get some Centron in your life. Okay. There it is. Centron, here we go. Gotta grab the cranberry. Oh wait, it's 2 for $4. Gotta double up with the classic as well. Centron World, baby. Centron, available at select Krogers, and if you wanna know how, go to @CentronWorld.com. You can get dope like me. You know what? Why wait? Great taste, guaranteed.
You're about to be shell-shocked. The catch of the day is in. Big Boy Seafood Fest is officially back. Join us for some of your favorites like our popcorn shrimp and pike perch platters and our classic fish and chips. This year, we've reeled in some fresh catches like our shrimp Alfredo, shrimp stir fry, and our fish sandwich. And especially, don't forget about our all-you-can-eat Friday night fish fry buffet. Every day is a fish fry at Big Boy.
You have an opinion? Make sure it's seen and heard. Corner, jumper, tweet us, hop on the YouTube chat, slide in the DMS at Woodward Sports on all social media.
Planet Fitness is home of the Judgment-Free Zone, where you can work out in a non-intimidating, judgment-free atmosphere. And you know what? You get all of this for $10 a month.
Only $10?
Only $10.
Oh my gosh.
And you know what? Black Card members, they enjoy use of amenities such as unlimited tanning, hydro massage chairs, and total body enhancement with access to over 2,000 locations worldwide with unlimited guest privileges. Planet Fitness has more than 50 convenient locations in the Metro Detroit area, so join today in club or online at planetfitness.com, where your fitness is essential.
Yes, sir.
I tell you like this, man. If I'd never known anything about Planet Fitness after hearing that read by you, Matt, I'd be on my way to get a membership, man.
Let's go. We're trying to get in
Good
shape
job
here.
with the energy,
Let's
man.
go.
Planet
Thank you.
Fitness, where your fitness is essential.
Matt
I like
Broder in for JB today. Thanks for being here, Matt. Also, guys, we were talking about the Detroit sports scene. Dave, who put this out, Maz?
Dave Hogg.
Dave Hogg.
Long-time Detroit sports writer.
Long-time Detroit sports writer, absolutely. Put this out over the weekend, and we saw it. The Lions, Red Wings, Pistons, Tigers are a combined 25 and 58 in 23. That's a 301 winning percentage. This is an even bigger number. Since January 1st, 2019, they are a combined 453, 821, and 2.
Let me update you. 454, 826, and 2. Got to add those extra 4 losses.
No city has ever had a stretch close to this, and there's no real sign that it's about to improve. Ladies and gentlemen, this is stunning. There is no secret why kids today are not fans of these teams. They're fans of sports. But you don't see a lot of crazy Tigers fans out there, 12, 14-year-old kids. You don't see a bunch of Pistons fans, young kids.
Yeah.
You don't see a lot of Red Wings fans, young kids. They have grown up in probably the worst era of Detroit sports, period. Period. Who is the team on there that is getting out of this the soonest? And notice the Lions aren't involved in that. We think the Lions will carry the torch here for the
But they got
Detroit
the shortest
sports
season,
fans.
so what, they going to have 10 wins a game? 10 wins a season?
No, but I'm just saying in terms of any success.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are high on the Red Wings, but again, the Red Wings have not done it. So who are you hanging your hat on?
It's going to be the Lions, but it just sucks that soon as season starts in Detroit, and even if you consider last season too for the Lions, every season, like week 3, we're out the playoffs. Like week 3 in every sport, week 3, Detroit franchises are out the playoffs. Man, it just sucks, man. I don't know. How's it gotten this bad? Like that's the bigger because how? Because it's not like this is a city that has franchise and tradition and championships and a sense of pride when it comes to winning. Like, I just don't know how I got this bad.
Remember when the Pistons won the championship in 2004?
Seems like decades ago.
You just thought that that felt like forever and a day ago when the Pistons went from 89-90, that championship team,
to 04.
To the 04 team. It felt like forever. I mean, you had been through the...
That was 15 years.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You had been through the Lindsey Hunter and Allen Houston days, the Grant Hill days, all this stuff. And then you look, 15 years. Guys, it's coming up on 20 years since the Pistons last won that 04 championship. And again, you're banking on a ping pong ball to go your way so you can get this Victor Wembanyama.
Sad.
And then the difference too, Ryan.
That's the only hope you have.
Yeah, they better cheat in that draft.
You talk to me about Troy Weaver all you want.
No, they better cheat to get Wembanyama after I saw that play. But yeah, even with that at 80, what was it, 90, even 90 until 2004, that 15-year period, the Pistons still were competing at some point. Grant Hill was like the next guy. At one point, he was Grant Hill was the best player in the league, like right at that Jordan walking out of the league.
Stackhouse.
Yeah, so that thing was getting it going, and then Grant gets hurt. They bring in Allen Houston and Lindsey, and then Stack, and he's like, oh wow, here we go. They're about to get good, and then they trade Stackhouse. My point is, even throughout that process, 90, that
Terry Mills.
Free Mills.
They still had competitive years. They still went to the playoffs. They even made it out of the first round a couple times. So it still was an okay process. This process, 04 till now, I say basically 08.
What are you hanging your hat on,
Like nothing. Like 08 to now, Reggie Jackson, is Blake Griffin.
Oh, God.
My God. Andre Drummond.
And look, you think it's the Red Wings, right, Maz? I mean, you think it's the Red Wings because Steve Yzerman has done it before with Tampa. And I'm not sitting here telling you that he's not doing it. It's not taking a long time.
Is it that, or is it just the fact that the Red Wings have the most cups? So whenever you think about the Red Wings, it's like, well, they got to get it right first because they got the most championships. Is it that?
I think they're doing it with a general manager who has done it before.
Yeah.
So at least he knows how to do it. And I think that's what gives you the most hope that the Red Wings could get out of this quickest.
Hey, look, next year is the 40-year anniversary of the Tigers winning it all. 40 years. How many times you got to look back and say, oh, how about those 84 Tigers? What a great start they had. I moved here in 93, and they were pathetic.
Is that Tony Phillips?
Yeah, they were pathetic. I remember Tony Clark was on that team.
Yeah.
He was a rookie. And
Dean Palmer?
Yeah.
Travis Fryman?
Dean Palmer. Oh, my God. What a team, huh? Bobby Higginson.
Higgy.
He was our guy. You can go on and on and on.
He was a jerk,
too. Higginson. He's got a name like he was a jerk. Yeah. Higginson.
Until Pudge signed here and Maglio signed here. And then the Tigers went on that unbelievable 10-year run. And they were really terrific in that 10-year run. We all know they lost 2 World Series. And they should have won. Probably been in a couple of more. But from that moment to now, when they lost to the Orioles in 13 with David Price on that team, and he didn't want to be here, that David Price trade that's when we lost Willie Adames and a couple of other great guys that we could have had. Eugenio Suarez went. And
Eugenio Suarez.
Eugenio Suarez, still hitting 30 home runs a year. Since that day on the Orioles when they killed us, they swept us. Brad Ausmus was a disgrace. They are the worst. They got to be bottom three baseball teams in major leagues. Bottom three.
Yeah.
And they still are bottom three. And it sickens me.
We talk about like these losses, and we talk about what can attribute to these losses. Like what could you attribute? I think it's ownership. I think that's what it comes down to. You look at when the Pistons were having success, they were owned by the same person, and then now he's no longer the owner. You look at the Red Wings. Rest in peace. When he passes away, things change for two teams in Detroit. So I think ownership. I mean, the Fords, they've owned it. Since they bought it, the Tigers have been bad. I think ownership is the key piece when you're looking at these numbers. And you're wondering why they're so
Phil Davidson to Goris.
100%.
Illich to this Illich.
To not so much Illich. Exactly. Yeah. And the Ford family.
They're going up because Sheila
Ford. She dropped that
Ford. That's a new owner to me.
See, there you go.
There you go.
I'm telling you, that's the ownership. Once we start getting away from a lot of things that they're doing, then you can start to have success. But you can't try to tamper success. Like, I just tweak this or we'll tweak this. You can't tweak for 20 years. You got to blow stuff up and you got to change your mindset if you want to have success or if you want to have success, period.
Listen, if the Tigers, I know this is going to sound like dumb. It really isn't. It's pretty simple. If the Tigers would have kept Scherzer and Verlander and not blown the team up, they would have been competitive for these last. They would have been competitive from 2003 to now, 20 years. They would have been competitive the entire 20-year stretch. Instead of trying to save money and pissing it all away, and these two guys are sticking it right up, up your yacht, making $50 million each for the Mets and the Nationals and the Astros when they won World Series.
And 2 World Series later, by the way.
I rest my freaking case.
3.
Well, Max has won 1 and Verlander's won 2. So yeah,
3.
Yeah.
Sickening.
Oh, and by the way, try not to wait too late to trade Justin Verlander, and then he becomes good again. They should have traded him 2 years prior to that. They would have got more from him to what you were talking about,
just
right?
Keep him.
But then they did. But then when he got back good, they got rid of him for nothing. And he's a 20-game winner, a pitcher again.
Detroit sports 454, 826, and 2 since 2019. My goodness. Guys, major news surrounding the NFL draft, and it could impact and will impact the Detroit Lions if it goes down like this. We'll have that for you coming up. But first, a message from Les Stanford Chevrolet Cadillac Buick GMC. That's right, Les Stanford has expanded their brands and expanded into Ferndale, a trusted name for over 55 years. Les Stanford Buick GMC. Same great service that customers have come to know. You can go check them out on Woodward, just south of 9 Mile. And, of course, if you're looking for a Chevy or a Cadillac, Les Stanford in Dearborn on Michigan Avenue for over 55 years. Find the brand you want under one umbrella. LesStanford.com. LesStanford.com.
Find new road.
Find them.
Saturdays at 1 p.m. Make sure you're watching WoodwardSports.com for our new show, Chompin' Puck.
He shoots! He scores!
With 4-time Stanley Cup champion Darren McCarty and Michael Gentry, Chompin' Puck is taking the Detroit hockey community and giving them a voice. Pros to Joes. You'll get the best Detroit hockey coverage around. Chompin' Puck. Saturdays 1 p.m. on WoodwardSports.com.
At work and at home, we're there with smarter security solutions. Featuring complete automation with customized alerts and more. For over 90 years, we've been the company that's been counted on to protect what matters most, all with personalized service and care. Right now, for a limited time, receive a free video device plus free installation with a new home system. Guardian Alarm. We protect Michigan.
The only sports network in Detroit that starts with a W. Because we win. Woodward Sports, Detroit's winning sports network.
Uptime matters.
Uptime, it matters.
At Alta Equipment, they've got everything you need to get the job done. If you have a big project coming up, give Alta Rental a call today. 844-GO-TO-ALTA. That's 844-GO, the number 2, Alta.
Guys, there's some major news regarding the NFL draft that is being kind of floated out there, and I find it interesting, all of which will impact the Detroit Lions at 6. And let's, Braylon, start with the Titans and the Raiders. Apparently, they are talking to the Cardinals about trading up to get that number 3 pick. So the Titans and the Raiders, two teams that want a quarterback, are talking to the Cardinals at 3 about potentially moving up to get their quarterback. And then you have this report saying that buzz around the league has the Colts. They are going to draft Will Levis. Will Levis at 4. If the Titans and or Raiders are able to move up to 3, you are talking about quarterbacks 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Richardson's will be third then, because that's what those two teams will go.
Or Levis. Richardson or Levis.
I think Levis is locked in over with the Colts. Who the hell else wants him except the Colts?
Yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where, well, let's talk about the Raiders first. When you talk about Jimmy G, we know Jimmy G is a stopgap quarterback for the Raiders. Also, it's a quarterback that knows the system, knows Josh McDaniels, knows they're familiar with each other. And at the end of the day, he's not going to do too much to mess you up. So it's a good stopgap quarterback, but you need a quarterback. Like, you know what division you're in. Like, Jimmy Garoppolo not beating Patrick Mahomes. Like, he's not beating Justin Herbert. And the verdict is out on what happens with Sean Payton and Russell Wilson. So they're like, we got to get one of these young quarterbacks. So they feel good enough for what they've seen. They want to move up. Cardinals don't need a quarterback. So, I mean, it's a good situation. But moving back, now
they do need a quarterback. They just can't afford one now.
Yeah,
they would love. If they didn't sign Kyler Murray,
are you talking about
they were taking a quarterback.
Mr. Temper Tantrum?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but now you got 4 quarterbacks going back to back. Now it's, once again, here are these dream scenarios that, we've talked about as Detroit Lions fans for the better part of January till now. Well, here you go. All 4 quarterbacks are going, so you will have an option, Will Anderson and then Jalen Carter, but now all of a sudden Jalen Carter is no longer the sure pick.
It is interesting, Maz, is it not, if quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3, and 4 in this draft?
Well, listen, there's another thing that says the Texans, Peter King reported that the Texans might not want a quarterback at number 2. So what does that do?
So I could see that. Just play me out here. Yes. Yeah. Their head coach is DeMeco Ryans.
Correct. Defense.
A defensive guy. Unless you are in love with a quarterback, you're not just taking quarterbacks to take a quarterback. You have to believe that guy is a franchise guy, 8 to 10 to 12 years.
Yeah.
If you don't believe that, and if you're sitting there being DeMeco Ryans, this is at least 2 years before you really get going. 2, 3 years potentially. You've got a lot of work to do. If you can get one area of your team, a building block around that guy, I mean, I'm talking Will Anderson Jr., to be paired up with DeMeco Ryans and change that Texans defense first, well, then you come back next year because you're not going to win many games this year, and you get your quarterback in next year's draft. I don't hate that. If you don't believe in one of these guys at the top.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the best case scenario, and here's the thing about it, if you look at it from a quarterback/DN point of view, if you miss on Will Anderson Jr., worst case scenario, he's the guy that gets you 11 sacks a year. Like, he's not the guy that's getting you 18. He's not the guy that's first team All-Pro. But he's getting you 11 sacks a year. He's getting you 11.5. And eventually you decide if you want to pay him in 5 years or blah, blah, blah. Worst case scenario for one of these quarterbacks, you'll be looking for another quarterback in 2 years. That's the worst thing. So if you're DeMeco Ryans and you come into a situation, hey, look, I don't know if we really like any of these guys, man. Let's take Will Anderson Jr. We're still in the division that's heating up. The coach should be good this year. Jacksonville now owns that division. The Titans are better than the Texans as well. You can organically tell DeMeco, hey, look, don't worry about year 1. This is going to be a 4-year process. We trust in you. We have you in here. We're not trying to win right now this year. We're trying to start putting pieces in play because we're looking for Caleb Williams. We're looking at how to get to Caleb Williams. So I can definitely see the Texans doing that. These quarterbacks, there's so many questions.
They have Case Keenum right now.
It's so many questions with these quarterbacks. Like, with Anthony Shelton, his accuracy, the lack of reps. Will Levis, the lack of reps, going to different schools, juicing up. Like, he's big as I don't know what. He never leaves the gym. Bryce Young, is he going to last? Is he going to be able to sustain the hits being so small? So I think, you keep hearing so many excuses on why not to draft a person. Eventually, you're like, I mean, Will Anderson, 12 sacks a year, is that so bad? And then try to get Caleb Williams next year.
Listen, man, you're not going to the season with Case Keenum as your only hope. You can't. They got to take a quarterback. You pick it at number 2. There's 4 good quarterbacks out there.
They still got Davis Mills.
I don't know if they have him anymore.
Hey, by the way, Maz, I do think they're taking a quarterback. I just can understand if they did it that way.
No, I
the
get
Will
it.
Anderson
And the report's
route.
out there.
Yeah, the Will Anderson
It speaks
route.
for itself.
I could understand it at least.
But if I'm D'Amico Ryans, I'm taking my quarterback.
But that's the thing, Maz.
It's my first year.
I get it, but what if it's not your quarterback? Like, I think that's a very, very fragile space because, yes, you want a quarterback. You need a quarterback, especially to compete nowadays. You got to get one of these electric quarterbacks that can take over a franchise like you've seen with Herbert and other guys. But if it's not one of these guys, and this is my first pick, and I'm a defensive-minded coach, I'm like, hey, look, I don't know if I trust Anthony Richardson. I know I don't trust Levis. I don't know if I trust Bryce Young. But I do know Will Anderson was the best player in the country last year. I do know we said he was going to be the number 1 pick this year. I do know, although he had an off year, still had 12 sacks this year. I do know he's going to be a damn good player. And Alabama players technically always pay off in the NFL. So if I'm looking at it from that point of view, like you said, it's my first draft. And if I get a Pro Bowler first pick out the gate, and Will Levis is a dud, Anthony Richardson is a dud, I'm not looking like a genius. And oh, by the way, we still can get Caleb Williams.
Hey, look, when we had the Knucklehead brothers here running things, and they took Jeff Okudah instead of Tua or Herbert, they were on their last leg. So we knew they're going to screw the pooch. They're not taking a quarterback because a rookie quarterback wasn't going to save
Not
their
going to
ass.
help you win right away, right?
This guy is fresh starting. You take your quarterback.
And again, another aspect to throw into this, the Texans have fired their coach for the last 2 years after 1 year.
Yeah. Right.
If I'm D'Amico Ryans, are you sure you're getting a second year? Are you sure you're getting a third year? So you got to keep this in mind as well. You're trying to win as many games as you want now. There's a lot that goes into it when you're the head coach of the Houston Texans. That I can tell you.
This is true. I 100%. I just think there's a lot of questions. I think there's too many questions. And look, there's always going to be questions about players, no matter what. Like, even back in the day, there's questions about Dan Marino. There's questions about Jim Kelly. It's always questions. But they have bodies of work. I don't mind questions when there's a body of work. Like, when there's a body of work to point to say, hey, look, this guy was really good. I'll give you an example. Russell Wilson. He had a great body of work. ACC, they won the ACC title, was there. He won the Big Ten title, had passing yards, touchdowns. He had rushing yards, showed you was smart, high accuracy. But there's questions. Not a big arm. Throws a lot of pop flies. Is he too short? There's always questions. But when there's questions, concerns, and no film, and no stats, that's why I struggle. And that's why C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young, they look better and better every day just because they have national championship pedigree. They have Heisman Trophy pedigree.
Guys, Jalen Carter is only visiting top 10 teams. He will meet with the Bears today. It's a second visit for the Chicago Bears.
Told you, he ain't getting by them.
The Bears were rumored to take him at number 1. They have since traded the pick. They've gotten a bunch of picks, 2 firsts, 2 seconds from trading out of that number 1 spot, and they still might get Jalen Carter at 9.
Can't let that happen.
But my goodness, Bray, that is incredible if Carter is on the board at 9 for them.
I'm going to give him some advice, and I know, who am I to give Jalen Carter advice? Well, I'm somebody that got drafted number 3 overall. When you're going top 3, top 5, top 10, you're only going, or you're only accepting interviews from people in the top 10. Like, when I was coming out, I saw San Fran flew me out. They were 1. Miami brought their whole team to come see me after the draft. They were 2. Never talked to Cleveland. I wish I did. 4, Chicago flew me out. Minnesota 7, they flew me out. And then Detroit 10, I was already here. So I just drove the car to Allen Park from Ann Arbor. But that's because everything was steadfast with me. Like, I didn't have any questions. I didn't have any concerns. I didn't have anything off the field. I didn't have any injuries. So I knew I was going that high. Why am I talking to 12? Why am I talking to 20? With Jalen Carter's situation, right now, people are wondering who you are. Right now, people are wondering, was this a 2-time thing? Is this something reoccurring? Are there other issues? Is there something else going on? He's got to diffuse a lot of these things. He's got to put himself in front of people so they can see who he is. It's one thing to see Jalen Carter on the screen. It's another thing to be face to face, sit down, talk with him, get a sense of his mind.
Did you see the body cam video this week?
I did not, but that's what I was gonna say. So I would actually interview with teams that are picking 12, 13, 14, 15, hell, 18 for the Lions. Well, I guess they're also 6, but 20, because you don't know who's gonna take that chance. You don't know if this has knocked people away from you, and you just assume you're going 9. Because you could be waiting like Aaron Rodgers, or you can be waiting even longer. You can wait until the second round. So I would get in front of people, talk to people, let the people get a chance to feel who you are, because it might be a team at 24 to take you. So I would definitely interview some other teams if they had genuine interest.
All that said, if I'm the Lions at 6, I'm telling the Bears, I'm trading this pick. If you want Jalen Carter, come up and get him.
No doubt. And Jalen Carter will most likely be on the board under this latest draft scenario. You're going to have 2 of 3 players available. I want to know which direction you go. 2 of 3 really dynamic players. We'll get your answer next. But first, a message from Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. Come to Lady Jane's for an award-winning haircut experience and register for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to win a down payment for your dream home up to $200,000. Lady Jane's open 7 days a week. You can walk in anytime. It's wicked awesome.
Wicked awesome.
Can't get enough Woodward Sports content? Head over to woodwardsports.com right now for up-to-date sports articles and great entertainment news. We have the best writers, bloggers, and coverage all at your fingertips. Head to woodwardsports.com right now to experience all Woodward Sports has to offer.
I'm Dr. Jason Olafson, DC, the founder of the Custom Health Centers, and we've helped thousands of people learn how easy it is to lose weight and keep it off with our customized weight loss and body contouring programs.
With Custom Health, you don't feel hungry, you eat well. My name is Simeon Timbuk, and I lost 71 pounds on the program.
Call us at 844-789-THIN or visit CustomHealthCenters.com for a free consultation and get started for as little as $5 a day.
A ton of fun, a ton of sports, and a ton of man meat. Welcome to the Woodward Heavyweights, live daily 5 to 7 p.m. on Woodward Sports.
Hour number 2, woodwardsports.com. Ryan Ermanni, Braylon Edwards, Tom Mazawey. If you are listening audio only, we appreciate it, whether it's a Woodward Sports app through YouTube, however you're doing it, Apple Podcast, Google Play. Go ahead and subscribe. We are on your iPhones as well. Subscribe to the Ermanni and Edwards with Maz show. Give us a 5-star review if you're there, too. If you're watching on YouTube right now, go ahead and give us a like. Hit that like button. Let's see if we can get to over 100 likes by the end of this segment. We'd certainly appreciate it. Pound that like button. Also, if you're watching on woodwardsports.com, look at that shop tab. Some great deals on Woodward Sports gear, including Braylon's shirt there. woodwardsports.com. Braylon, I saw this. So, Fletch, put up the tweet about Will Levis again for me today. So, the Will Levis one. Yes, this one. I think this one is interesting because under this scenario, let's just say that the Cardinals stand pat at 3, okay? So you've got quarterbacks going 1-2.
Yep.
Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, however you want to say it, in no matter what order. Then you've got Will Anderson going 3. You've got, under this scenario from Jeremy Fowler on ESPN, that the Colts are selecting Will Levis. That would leave the Lions with 2 of 3 potential players on the board. Tyree Wilson,
right?
Jalen Carter, and Anthony Richardson. You are guaranteed to have 2 of those players around for you under that scenario if Will Levis goes to the Indianapolis Colts. Who is your ideal selection right now at 6? And who does Seattle take? Who does Seattle take? They're going to have all three of those players available.
I always said I thought they were going to take a quarterback.
They're going to take Anthony Richardson.
Seattle takes Anthony Richardson.
They're going to take Anthony Richardson. Based on how that contract is set up with Geno Smith, all his money pretty much is coming this year. Next year they'll have the option, and then probably they won't bring him back for a third year. He grooms Anthony Richardson this year. Anthony Richardson takes over next year, and then they cut Geno after the second year after he'll play backup for. So I don't think Anthony Richardson will get here. So I think you'll be looking at the other two that you said. And I still think it's Jalen Carter. I still think it's Jalen Carter. One thing about having that 18 pick and 6, if you can't get somebody to come up, if you can't get the Bears to come up and get that pick, if you can't sell the Raiders to come up, if you can't sell someone to get that pick, you take Jalen Carter. At the worst case scenario, he doesn't work. Whatever, but you still have another pick. You still have a pretty good defensive line. The cupboard's not bare, as they say. 18, you never get another player. It won't matter. It's not that it won't be a huge miss if you draft Jalen Carter. It doesn't work. Because the other side of that, you're talking about a wrecking ball. You're talking about one of those players that you mentioned when you get to the conference final round. When you get to the Super Bowl, you got to have one of those dominant linemen. That's the other side of that. So I think it's worth it to take that chance.
And Ryan, earlier today, going around online, I always look at mock drafts. So this guy from CBS Sports put one out today. Did you get a load of this?
Here it is.
This is him. So I just want people to look at it. And Tyree Wilson is moving up the board. But, geez, man, if Jalen Carter, you can't let him go to Chicago.
Let me read this to people who are listening audio only. So they've got Carolina taking C.J. Stroud #1. They've got Houston taking Bryce Young 2. They've got the Tennessee Titans trading up to get Anthony Richardson.
That was one of the rumors.
So that's 1, 2, 3. At #4, the Raiders trade up, and they get Paris Johnson Jr. He's the offensive tackle from Ohio State. And then at 5, Seattle takes Will Anderson Jr. At 6, the Lions take Tyree Wilson. 7, the Colts select Christian Gonzalez. Jalen Carter goes 8 to the Atlanta Falcons.
With Calais Campbell.
Peter Skoronski, the offensive tackle from Northwestern, goes to the Bears. And then rounding out the top 10, the best player in the draft to me, Bijan Robinson.
I told you, he ain't getting by Philly.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is interesting. The good thing about a Tyree Wilson type character, I wouldn't get mad if the Lions drafted him. I tell you the story. I watched the game ahead. I think it was Texas Tech and Texas, and he plays inside, outside, long. He's athletic. He's fast. He's mobile. He's great up the field. He's great underneath. So he's a guy, if they got him, I wouldn't be mad at all. I think he would be a good player. It'd be a safe pick, but it wouldn't be the pick that I would want. It would be Jalen Carter, and that's the pick that I definitely want. But Anthony Richardson with the Titans, I can see that. I mean, Ryan Tannehill, he's not panning out.
But do you see who's missing from here? Will Levis.
Yeah, Will Levis is missing.
How are the Colts letting Will Levis go?
Because
they might
he's
not
not
like
a good
him. Maybe they don't like him. Maybe they don't like him. But for the Lions' sake, my question to you guys is exactly what is posed to you here. At 6, the Lions would have Tyree Wilson and Jalen Carter available to them. Because I mentioned Anthony Richardson, but 2 of those 3 players the Lions would have the choice of.
And don't forget,
under this scenario, they go with Tyree Wilson.
And don't forget, Christian Gonzalez is the person that has been mocked to the Lions the most in this offseason.
Till the free agency.
Well, even now, you're still seeing it. A couple people.
I've seen it too, Ray. I've seen
I've
that too.
heard the kid. He sounds like a winner, the kid. I'm just not taking a cornerback at 6. I'm just not. Not anymore.
That's because we got burned on Jeff Okudah. You can't let one situation deter you. Now, I agree with you. I wouldn't draft Christian Gonzalez. I haven't seen him enough. I haven't done my scouting report as if I was a Lions scouting guy. But I wouldn't draft him. But you can't let that happen because who went 4th last year? Oh, it was the DB. He's pretty good, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he's first team All Pro.
From here.
Exactly. Detroit Kings own Sauce Gardner. So sometimes, you just got to make better decisions.
Oh, man.
Doesn't it feel that the Lions need one more defensive lineman, though?
Yes.
When you look around the position groups, it just feels like that is the one spot they need help. One extra guy.
Because in this league, the teams that make it to the playoffs and then the teams that make it to the conference finals and the Super Bowl, they got that dog defensive lineman. They got a dog interior guy. So you look at when the Rams won a Super Bowl. Interior, Aaron Donald. Who's on the outside? Wreaking havoc. It was Von Miller. You look at the Chiefs in the playoffs. Who's in the middle? It's Chris Jones. Who's on the outside? The guy that has the most sacks in NFL playoff history, Frank Clark, University of Michigan. You look at the Eagles. Who's on the interior? Where do I begin? But Fletcher Cox is in there. Who's on the outside? Hassan Reddick with 16.5 sacks last year. You got to have a dog. And Bugs is going to be good. Elaine Mill is good. But you got to have a wrecking ball. And you got to have that guy that's competing for Defensive Player of the Year on the outside, which would be Aiden Hutchinson. So you're right. That's why I want Jalen Carter so bad, because I think he's that piece. You talk about wanting to be with the big dogs. Well, this is a move the big dogs make.
Let me ask you about Tyree Wilson, because I really don't know a ton about him.
Neither do I.
I heard his name for the first time when it came to mock drafts. I'll be totally honest with you. I watch a lot of college football, and I didn't hear his name one time.
It's Texas Tech.
Not one Sports Center highlight, not one dominant player, not one this is going to be a top 10 player in the draft. I'm not saying that it wasn't true.
But it's Texas Tech. Like, nobody mentioned you-know-who, Patrick Mahomes.
But everybody mentioned Aaron Donald at Pittsburgh, and it was Pittsburgh. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So...
But Pitt plays against Penn State. Pitt plays in the ACC against Clemson. Pitt plays Notre Dame. So
was he hurt this year or something like that? Because
Tyree Wilson?
Yeah.
I watched him.
He only had 1.5 sacks this year.
I guess I saw that 1.5 sacks.
Because according to ESPN, his stats, he had 12 tackles and 1.5 sacks.
He had that in the game I watched alone.
Is that true, or does ESPN not have their facts right?
I don't go to ESPN for stats anymore. You got to go to reference.
You got me, man.
I'm asking because
Noah Wolbrick in the back, our guy, says he's going to be the next Trayvon Walker.
Okay. Does Noah know if he was hurt last year?
Noah said that.
Yeah, but see, that wouldn't. You got to help
our boys study.
We got to help our young guys out. Because you say he's going to be the next Trayvon Walker. Trayvon Walker only played 1 year and he had 4 sacks. That's not who I'm aspiring to be.
Well, he did have a touchdown.
He did have that. He did have that.
Well, we'll keep an eye on it here. We'll get. You got something, Bray?
Yeah, I got something.
What do you got? What do you got? What kind of information you got?
Nothing.
7 sacks, 14 tackles for loss, 61 total tackles.
In what? In what year? Junior year?
This year. Yeah, this is like 2022.
Is that what it says?
Yes, it says 2. You got to. I'm telling you.
He had a whole 7 sacks.
He had a whole 7 sacks. He had a whole 7 sacks. I'm telling you.
All right, very good. We'll go around the NFL. We'll do it next. But first, a message from Chili Peppers Tanning.
Oh, baby. Chili Peppers Tanning. You got to go there because you don't see the sun here in Detroit. 27 locations throughout the metro Detroit area. More coming as well. If you join the Pepper Club, they're going to beat all competitors by $5 on unlimited tanning. Plus, you get the cleanest salons in the D and the best trained tanning professionals. They have the hottest bulbs, the hottest deals, and the darkest tans. Your Vitamin D headquarters, chilipepperstanning.com.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1, what's your why? More epic energy, better sleep, blow off steam? Step 2, join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3, bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
3 NBA championships. Detroit fans were there. 11 Stanley Cups. Detroit fans were there. 4 World Series wins. Detroit fans were there. And that one Lions playoff win in 1991. Yeah, Detroit fans were there. Woodward Sports, where the fans are.
All right, Braylon, thank you for the correction. The ESPN NFL draft profile of Tyree Wilson, believe it or not, is wrong.
I believe it.
Courtney, it was, but you weren't funny though. It wasn't off by too many sacks.
Yeah, no.
Maybe that was his one game.
I mean,
like Braylon saw.
Like a game log.
Well, I don't know. He had 61 tackles this year, 7 sacks, and 1 forced fumble. He had he played in every game this year, dominant games against Baylor and at NC State. We had double-digit tackles in those games. NC State, it was a loss, but 11 tackles, 2 sacks in that one. Baylor, 10 tackles in that one. So he looked like he was a really good player for Texas Tech this year. He's growing on me.
Yeah.
Tyree Wilson is growing on me because if you look at ESPN's big board, he's a player, and then there's a huge drop off there too. Yeah, I look. I'd rather Jalen Carter too.
Yep.
Let's be honest. If it's Tyree Wilson or Jalen Carter, I take Jalen Carter. The only reason you take Tyree Wilson, in my opinion,
you're playing it safe.
No.
If Jalen Carter's not there.
No, is if you believe, if you have information that you think you can get Jalen Carter at 18. And the only way you can get Tyree Wilson and Jalen Carter is by taking Tyree Wilson first.
Yeah.
And then seeing if there's a slide on Jalen Carter, which is unlikely.
Do you need them both?
Hell yes.
You got
more.
room?
Yes.
More.
I mean, you can interchange those, especially
do they play linebacker or any of those guys?
No, but if you got guys that can eat up 2 offensive linemen on any given, your linebackers don't have to be that great. Your linebackers will roam in space if you've got a solid defensive front up there.
You got Hutch and Houston already.
Hutch,
and
Houston,
you got Bugs.
Pascal, Bugs, Kaminsky.
Yeah.
Rotate them in and out.
That is
Rotate
going to. That is going to be expensive.
Yeah, and you're going to have injuries too, by the way.
You don't need both those guys.
Yeah, you're also going to have empty pockets in about 4 years if you make a move like that. That's a lot of green checks.
Well, just saying.
Between 3 players.
Very
All
good.
right.
All right.
Hey, did you guys know the championships tonight?
It's so dumb.
What championship?
Come on with this 920 stuff.
I know. It's Jim Nance's last dance, though.
Who?
Come on, even you.
It gave me goosebumps. Gave me goosebumps.
Even you
It did.
admitted that Jim Nance soliloquy gave you goosebumps
It did.
over the
You
weekend.
gotta
Gave me
be-
goosebumps.
If you're Jim Nance, and this is the last
Hello,
one,
friends.
This is the swan song, right? You behind closed doors, you got to be mad as hell that it's UConn and San Diego State. Like if you're Jim Nance,
I was so happy for Brian Dutcher.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that, I was.
Nobody wanted to win that game on Saturday. I don't know if you really watched it, Ryan, because I know you're not.
I
a big
watched
fan,
it. I
but
remember
both teams sucked.
I remember it was like 69-60.
Yeah.
And San Diego State came back
They
with
made the
a
last
furious 12-2 run or something like that.
like I just 2 questions. One, I don't know how San Diego State is going to keep up with UConn. UConn's averaging 13 points in their wins. They've shredded everybody's defense. San Diego State goes like 7 minutes without scoring sometimes. They're a really good defensive team, but they can't shoot.
I think they're averaging a 20-point difference in each of their 5 games.
Yeah, like
so far in the dance.
UConn's gonna beat the hell out of San Diego State. Here's the other question. Oh, go ahead, Ryan.
I'm convinced the NCAA hates kids. I am. I'm convinced of it.
Let me hear this take.
Why? Because they don't care about the young kid that has to go to school.
Yes.
Yeah.
The NCAA, I'm convinced, hates kids. They do, like I think of my 6-year-old.
Start this game at 8 o'clock.
Like listen, I think about my 6-year-old in this, and he's not the biggest sports fan in the world yet, but he is into
ninja.
basketball.
He likes ninja.
Yeah, he loves ninjas, but he is into basketball. It would be so great to sit there with my boy tonight and watch a little basketball and teach him about, this NCAA tournament and March Madness.
Yeah.
And then he's always got that with Dad every year. He's in bed at 8:30. You know what I mean? Like, you can't start it at 8 and give me at least a half.
Minutes, yeah.
You know what I mean? At least a half to watch with them.
Look what they did for football. They moved it up to 7:30.
Yeah.
Come on, this game is at 9:20.
80% of the population in the United States lives in the Eastern and Central time zones. So don't give me this stuff about the West Coast. Just don't.
Yeah.
Nobody cares about sports out there anyway.
No, like it's one of those things where 9 o'clock. I don't understand it why they're so late. I feel like it was earlier when I was younger, but it just feels so much better when a game is early, and then after the game is over, Like it's not midnight. It's not late. You still can, like, after the Super Bowl this year, Ryan, I left my dad's house. I was like, oh man, it's not that late. Like 10:45. Drove home, conversated with some friends about the Super Bowl, made it to the house, heated up some wings. Like, it was cool. Went to sleep. I was good. Like, these games aren't gonna be over to 12:30. Then I gotta watch ESPN and see what the hell they're gonna talk about the games. Hey man, hey, that's what everybody should have did on yesterday is go to Max's, man. Everybody been on the same team instead of dividing. Absolutely. Hey, just go to Max's.
It's all
man.
peace. It's all peace.
Zen light, groovy baby.
Listen, man, I always wanted to be in the Central Time Zone, strictly for sports.
Yes,
come on, man. My whole life, I've had to stay up past freaking midnight to finish a game or watch a Sports Center. It's not fair. It sucks, and no wonder no one freaking watches. Yeah. No wonder it's dying. No wonder. And I got a bitch session. I got to talk about a store I went to the other day.
Go ahead.
My wife gets her iPhone, right? And she's got this, and she goes to Best Buy to get the.
They still exist?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Man.
She goes to Best Buy and gets the cover for the phone. What do you call the damn
case?
Thing?
Case
Not
protector.
the case, but the
screen protector.
The screen protector. Mm. She goes there, and I think she spends like $30 on a screen protector.
Sound about right.
But the good thing is, if it breaks, you can take it back and exchange it, no problem, no questions asked. So she's going away for the weekend, and she drops her phone, and she's like, "Oh, honey, I'm cutting my finger on this screen protector key. Take it back to Best Buy for me. Will I pack?" I'm like, "Oh, sure." Take it back. I give them the phone number. Okay, here you go. Here's your receipt. Just go pick out the thing, and we'll put it on for you for $9. What? I'm like, what? You're going to put it on for me for $9? No. My wife paid $30 for this thing. You never said anything about there's a charge for you guys to put it on. Because you know how hard it is to put these things on?
That's why they charge $9.
But it's bull.
All right.
So I told the guy, you're going to charge me $9. Look at the store. There's no one here. I'm like, no wonder you're going out of business.
Is that what you said
to
him?
I said it to two people.
Good
The
for
guy
you,
at the
man.
customer
Good for
service
him.
and the guy and the Geek Squad. Well, if you were a Geek Squad Plus member, I'm like, Geek Squad Plus, there's nobody here.
Said no one ever.
Nobody's here. You can't put it on. It's going to take you 1 minute. So I went to the AT&T store on the way home, and they put it on for me.
That is incredible.
Isn't that bull?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I never talk like that.
That's
to
how
anyone.
stores die.
I was pissed.
That's how people lose jobs.
I don't have to go to that store anymore.
No.
And I used to live in that store.
You won't go there now?
No.
I did too every Tuesday, man. That's when they released all the electronics and all the new DVDs and CDs every Tuesday. That was
Sorry, I had to get that off my chest.
No, I'm glad. It's incredible. What did they say to you about that?
Nothing. They just
they didn't care?
That's what they said.
They didn't respond in any way?
But let me ask you a question, Ryan. Why would you care? Like, if you know you're working for a dinosaur that is about to extinct, like about to become of a mass extinction, why would you even care? Like,
I would have tipped the kid because I tipped the AT&T girl $5. I would have gave the guy a $5. Put that in your pocket.
You know, I think you care because I think you want to believe that people are good at their jobs or like their jobs or want to be at their jobs. Like, not every, or have some sort of professional pride or some sort of professional courtesy or some sort of situational awareness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know.
I know. I agree with you, and I think that's what you should have in a job that's existing, that's going to be there. But you can't tell me when they were about to close Hudson's back in whatever year that was that people were actually still trying to help people in the department store. They were probably just waiting until cashing a check or waiting for that building to implode.
Yeah, look, I went to
if it's over, it's over.
I went to a closed store in Grosse Pointe. There's Brooks Brothers. You know,
I
Brooks.
drive down the hill and into the village. That place is in Ghost Town too.
The Brooks Brothers, which nobody went to anymore, and
in the 80s.
It ultimately closed. But it was a what do you call it? Not a discount store, but it was
a secondhand store?
Yeah, so it was I don't know how to describe it, but it's no longer there. It was bought, and it's not there anymore. It was there from 1987 to 2023. People stopped shopping there, but ultimately, when it was announced that they were closing, later in the month, I went in. Nobody's talking to you. I was like, "Can I have some help here?" They're like, "Go."
The Best Buy guy, the first guy I went up to. Well, listen, the first guy I went up to a customer service, First, you get the two people standing at the door.
Right.
And
they're greeters, but they never talk to you.
They never greeted me.
They never talk to you.
So I turned around and I'm like, what do I do about my wife's phone here? I don't know what to do. She's
I don't know.
like, Pete's busy over there. So go to customer service and they'll get your phone number and get you started. I'm like, okay, thank you. So I walk up to this guy, Vince.
Oh, Vinny.
Vince is there.
Oh, yeah, he sounds like
I'm standing in line, and Vince calls me over.
Vince sounds like a real dork.
There's 5 guys behind the counter, Ryan, and there's no one there. So Vince's like, can I help you? I'm like, oh, yeah, hi, Vince. I saw his name. Hey, Vince, I'm Tom. Hey, do me a favor. I don't know what to do. It's my wife's phone. I got to change the – and he went like this. I swear. He went –
no way.
And I said to him, Vince, what's up? It sounds like I just asked you something that's really, really bad. Is this a bad thing? He's like, no. I just got to figure out what to do with this. So what's your number? First number.
Can we call Vince right now?
The first number not working. Second number, she put it under my number. Oh, here it is. And then he went and told me, go over there and pick out the case. Pick out the cover you want. No one's there. He's like, do me a favor. He said, do me a favor. Go over there and pick out the... I'm like, I don't even know what I'm picking out. So I go down there. I'm looking. I'm like, what brand am I picking out? I'm like, hey, Vince, what brand am I picking out? Finally, he comes from behind the counter to find it for me.
Let's call Vince next.
So you've been inconvenienced, man.
We can't call Vince. We don't know if Vince is working.
Let's see.
You know what's a funny story?
I can't hack it, man.
You know what's a funny story? It's a big store, especially here in Michigan. I just feel like you can never find anybody to help you. Like I feel like they run from you. Like every time I've actually gone to the store, needed something for myself or for someone, I have legitimately had to track down people for like 20 minutes. And then when I would see an individual, they would catch eyes with me and run down the aisle. I get down to the aisle, they'd be gone. It's Lowe's. I've never had good customer service at Lowe's.
Hey, Fletch, do me a favor. Put up a poll, okay? Do you hate your job? Yes or no? It's very simple. I'm just curious. I'm just curious. Do you hate your job? I want to call Vince.
And Pete hates his job behind the counter.
Very good. But first, a message from we got a lot going. I got to get a break in. When we come back, we'll go around the NFL and we'll see if we can logistically call.
Because you hate your job.
I want to see if we can call Vince.
We hate the NCAA.
We don't know if we do. Maybe we might have to call Vince tomorrow. But first, a message from Guardian Alarm. They're your local security experts, have been for over 90 years. You see that black and yellow sign out in front of your house tells the bad guys one thing.
Stay out.
Whether you are at home or on the road, they're 24/7 local monitoring. Make sure what is important to you, stay safe. Call this number right here, 1-800.
Stay out.
That number again, 1-800.
Stay out.
Call them today. Tell them Vince sent you.
Yeah.
Love Woodward Sports? Love wearing clothes? Then you should be wearing Woodward Sports clothes. Check out our full line of merch at woodwardsports.com. Just click on shop. We have all your favorite designs, like Dan Campbell kneecaps, Beverly Hills Golf, Woodward Golf, and of course, our own logoed out merchandise. Men, women, infants, kids all love Woodward Sports. Impress your friends. Impress your boss. Impress your dog. Buy Woodward Sports merch today.
The Sports Marketing Agency would not be who we are without great community partners like Higuera Health and Carol Zuniga.
It's an awesome opportunity to partner with your organization. Higuera Health is a comprehensive behavioral health organization. We serve children through older adults with mental health, substance use, and developmental disabilities across Western Wayne counties, and really excited to now be in downriver communities as well. Give us a call at 734-458-4601.
We aren't quite sure if they consume more beer or sports. Either way, the heavyweights are here. Live on Woodward Sports, daily 5 to 7 p.m.
Hey, Seafood Fest is back at Big Boy. Catch it while you can, especially now that the Lenten season's coming to a close. Good Friday coming up this week, as a matter of fact. You have to try it. Get down there and try the Lenten specials, the shrimp Alfredo, the shrimp stir fry, and the new fish sandwich. Don't forget the all-you-can-eat fish fry buffet every Friday at Big Boy.
Fletch won't let me call Vince.
The no fun police. No fun police.
Fletch loves Vince. He don't want me to call Vince.
Talk to Fletch
What,
about
Fletch,
answering
why
the phone.
can't I call
Talk to Fletch about answering the phone.
Why can't I call Vince?
You guys can do what you want. I don't even care. I shouldn't have opened up my
Which
mouth.
Vince? You talking about Vince McMahon?
Vince, I'm sure, was not a kind human being to Maz and was not doing his job effectively. But if I was working at that store, which I did, I worked at Bass Pro Shops for a while. I would not be happy if I got a call from a talk show asking me about the service that I received from Vince.
No, we would ask you. Pretend you're the store there, Fletch.
Okay.
Okay, hello. Go
Hey,
ahead,
put
answer
Vince
the phone.
on the phone.
Yeah, listen.
Do you have a Vince there?
Hey, listen, I got a screen protector that I have the replacement policy with. How do you guys handle that?
I was told Vince could help me.
Yeah. How do you handle that, sir?
Well, if I had the answer, then I would give you the answer.
Is there a Vince there?
Can you put Pete on?
Well, I'm not
there a
Vince.
Jack there?
It was one person that you had a bad experience
Vince.
with, Matt.
No, it
Do
was
you
two
have any
people. Vince and Pete. They both sucked.
Is Pete there?
I don't know.
Oh my God! Hey, speaking of Vince, guys, Vince McMahon.
Oh God,
has sold the WWE to Endeavor. Vince McMahon bought the WWE from his father in 1982. Bought it for $1 million. He has created a $9.3 billion company.
Empire.
That he will now merge with the UFC and create a $21.4 billion venture. Endeavor is going to own 51% of it. WWE shareholders are going to own 49% of this. This is, and Vince McMahon doesn't look like that anymore, by the way. What in the world happened to Vince McMahon?
That $9.3 billion, like he needed all that to pay for that surgery. What the hell is up with his face?
What? I don't know. I don't know if we have a picture of what he did, but he looks like Engelbert Humperdinck.
Don't do that to our fans, man. He might scare the hell out of these people.
I thought it was a joke, actually.
Yeah, the joke's on him. This is great. I mean, you look, he started $1 million in, put investment in himself. Father believed in him, sold the company to him. And he's turned this thing into just a long-standing entertainment value. Like, wrestling has been very important to entertainment.
What in the world happened to Vince McMahon?
Look at this dude.
He looks like Madonna.
I mean, I don't know how that works like that.
We need a side-by-side with Madonna.
He definitely has German ties. Definitely.
It looks like Hitler a little bit.
That's what I was going to say. But see, I didn't want to go to Hitler.
He looks like Hitler a little bit.
He looked like he worked for Hitler.
Yeah.
It's like, Hitler's is real short.
Oh, my gosh.
He worked for Hitler. But no, WrestleMania last night, man, they just keep making money, man. They teamed up with UFC, and they just own the entertainment side of things. Everything is entertainment now. Vince, that's a lot of cash.
Dana White, by the way, Dana White bought the UFC in 2001 for $2 million.
Yep.
He sold it in 2016 for $4 billion. And
now it's worth
$12 billion.
You know what the great thing about
it is incredible.
The great thing about things like that, deals like Dana White has, like that deal, is bought it for $2 billion, sold it for $4 billion, but he's still running it. Which means he sold it for $4 billion, but they kept him on as president, COO, like, you know what I'm saying, chief of operating.
Yeah.
So he's still getting paid on top of the $4 billion they gave him, and now he's merging with the WWE.
Let me ask you, because I think this is better for the WWE than it is for the UFC. I think the UFC now, to me anyway, totally overtook boxing. UFC has totally overtaken boxing.
That's because boxing don't put out anybody.
Exactly. In boxing,
and that's a sin.
In boxing, you think of as rigged.
Yeah, but
in UFC, you don't think is rigged. And now, the very first hint of some impropriety in the UFC, you're going to think that fight is predetermined. Could this bring the UFC down a peg because of its association to an entertainment aspect, which is predetermined, and that's the WWE. Yes, boxing hasn't produced anybody. I understand that. But boxing, more than any other sport, has been accused of being rigged.
NBA. I'm joking. I'm
potentially. You understand what I'm talking about, though. And I think a lot of people shied away from that sport of boxing because of the unfairness aspect of it. UFC, I don't know. I don't know why they'd want to be associated with that.
Because the WWF, well, the WWF, which was the original company with Vince, had been around since the 50s. And then WWF in the 80s. Now WWE, like it's the longest running TV show. Like Monday Night Raw been coming on since 94. Like every Monday, Monday Night Raw been coming on since 94. WWE will always win because fathers and mothers bring sons and daughters. Like when you watch these WrestleMania events like last night or SummerSlam, which will be here, I can't wait because Cody Rhodes is going to win in SummerSlam. But they just keep bringing family to these events, man. And like fathers now, you see they'll pan to the audience and you see grandfathers that were probably watching when Hogan slammed Andre the Giant. And it just keeps going in the family. Like the kids, the best thing wrestling did was make it like kid friendly. Now it sucks for guys that watch it like us because that's when it was good. But by making it kid friendly, now your kids watch it. Now you can take your kids. Now it's a family event. Like that's where they're getting all their money. And UFC also knows like it's an ebb and flow with combat sports. So they're like, if we have a down or if boxing overtakes us, then at least we also have WWE to fall back on. So I think it's a good move.
Do you hate your job? 2/3 of the people say no. Surprised about that. Happy about that.
Here's the other part of that poll. Are you lying? Are you lying? Yes or no?
65% to 35%.
Maybe you should ask customer service people.
Oh man.
Well,
that's the difference.
There you go.
Liking a job.
Nobody hates their job more than TSA agents and cab drivers.
Hey, what happened to what's his name though? Shane McMahon.
Blew his knee out. Doing
Unbelievable. Doing a leapfrog.
That's perfect. So Fletch, I was wondering last night why they had Snoop Dogg in the ring. Like I know it's Snoop. So this is Snoop Dogg last night. It was so great. It's great. He comes in the ring.
That's the Miz.
And does the slow motion elbow drop, by the way. So Snoop gets in the ring. They're in SoFi. Oh, this is great. Snoop is the guy. I feel like Snoop, you can't come to California unless you talk to Snoop first.
He'll be in the Hall of Fame now.
100%. I think he's in already. So
WWE Hall of Fame?
Yeah, I think he's in already. So you're doing this. Snoop has a match. Snoop is clearly high. Once he took his glasses, I mean, when is he not? But once he took his glasses off, he was a different level of high. And I saw that slow motion elbow drop. I'm like, what the hell is? This was like on Johnny on the spot. He blew his knee out, and they put Snoop in the ring.
Yeah, so for people who don't understand what we're talking about or care, but like so me. Shane McMahon, Vince McMahon's son, who had a big role in wrestling over the years, and has not been involved
Obviously
lately.
Somebody cares.
He's not been involved lately, but last night, kind of a swan song at WrestleMania, he was about to fight The Miz.
Yeah.
And he does a leapfrog, jumps over the guy, and comes down and breaks, or what is it?
Hyperextended, like basically tore a ligament.
He tore a ligament in his leg. And he couldn't walk, and he was writhing in pain. And then I don't know how it happened so quickly, but Shane McMahon could not finish the match. He couldn't walk. He couldn't stand up. And all of a sudden, Snoop Dogg was there on hand to kind of come in and finish the match. Amazing.
See, when you get ready, when you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
That's right.
Snoop is always ready. I've seen Snoop do Asian commercials where he's speaking Japanese. I'm like, but the big thing about that was in terms of Shane McMahon, he's done some crazy things in WWE. He used to wrestle for real. I literally was at WrestleMania in Dallas when he jumped off the cage and completely missed Undertaker, almost killed himself. You can't be doing that stuff at 50. Shane McMahon's 53. Like, you're 53, you're away from it. Like, it's one thing to do some shadow boxing and some CrossFit. It's another thing to be jumping off rings and ropes and landing like that at 53. So go sit your ass down and sit in the boardroom somewhere.
No doubt. Hey, guys, I want to get to the Michigan spring game. It happened over the weekend. News and notes regarding that. Also, what are you looking for Michigan football? We'll do it next. But first, a message from Custom Health Centers. Give Custom Health Centers a call today. Call them right now because they will help you lose weight. What is Custom Health Centers? It's a customized approach to your weight loss need. Whatever your body requires to lose weight, they help you find what that is. Whether it's 20 pounds, 120 pounds, Custom Health Centers has the solution for you. They take the willpower out of weight loss. Call them right here, 1-844-789-THIN. That number again, 844-789-THIN.
You don't have to go to the beach, man. You don't have to get your butt crack full of sand. You just need a little chili peppers, man, to get that glowing beach chili peppers tan.
Join the Pepper Club for all the best deals in town. Plus, they will beat all competitors by $5. ChiliPeppersTanning.com. Hottest bulbs, hottest deals, darkest tans. Your vitamin D headquarters.
You just need a little chili peppers, man.
We don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side.
Lemieux and McCarty, who've had a good knockdown drag up. There they go, right on the whistle. They were talking to one another.
Woodward Sports.
Join the Woodward Sports family and over 100,000 other sports fans for the biggest party for the Detroit home opener. Coming up this Thursday, we're going to be broadcasting live from the Grand Slam Festival at 350 Madison for the biggest tent party in the D, or check in with Woodward Sports at our block party with the Brass Rail, Love It Tequila, and the Annex. Baseball season's here, and there's only one city that can handle it. It's Woodward Sports. We'll see you on Thursday in Detroit.
Guys, the Mays team with a late scoring drive beat the blue team in the Michigan spring game on Saturday. No Blake Corum, no Donovan Edwards. J.J. McCarthy did play. He had a pick, actually, in that game. One got away from him there. I was watching it. It just kind of sailed down and got picked. But it's interesting because I watch Michigan football a little bit differently now than I have in the past. And I feel differently about Michigan football than I have in the past. And maybe this is, this is now spoiled Michigan fan. Nothing less than a playoff win and playing for the national championship is acceptable anymore. Like, that is where the season is. It almost feels like each week of the season is just a means to an end. And Nick Saban, after every national championship, there was like an exhale. It wasn't an enjoyment. The process was not enjoyable. It was more of an exhale, because that's what the expectation is and was at the University of Alabama. So,
and to go through the SEC.
And to go through the SEC. So you don't enjoy week to week. You don't enjoy winning the games. They're more exhales. And it is a unique spot to be in as a Michigan fan, but it's kind of how I feel. I don't enjoy week to week because nothing else matters anymore than winning the national championship. You've done everything else. Winning a playoff game and winning the national championship, that's the expectation. That's where you want your program to be, and that's kind of what I expect. That's where I'm at with this program.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Michigan's put themselves, Jim Harbaugh, has put Michigan in a situation to expect going to the playoff, expect going undefeated or losing one game, expect winning the Big Ten, expect to beat Ohio State. So these are good things. But it's nothing wrong with that. That's what happens. That'll change in 2 years, Ryan. The Big Ten is going to get better. Right now, the Big Ten sucks. Okay, let's call it spade a spade. Last 2 years, Big Ten hasn't been very good football. Last year was horrendous, in my opinion. So when you watch Michigan, it's boring. Like, every game is boring.
Mm-hmm.
Penn State game is boring. Rutgers is boring. Indiana is boring. Northwestern is boring. Purdue is boring. Nebraska is boring. They've hired newer coaches in the Big Ten. You see Matt Rule now is at Nebraska. Some other moves that made Luke Fickles now at Wisconsin. They're going to do a much better job recruiting. You got USC and UCLA coming in another year after this one. So I think the Big Ten will get better. And I think Michigan, like the run they're on right now, like the way they're building the program right now, they're building it at the perfect time to when the Big Ten gets good, they're still going to be at the top of the mountain in the Big Ten. Mm-hmm. So I think that's when it'll get more fun for you, Ryan. I think Penn State will return and get a little bit better. The other schools will get better. USC and Lincoln Riley will be in this division. So when that happens, it'll get a little bit better. But right now, that's boring.
Did you wind up going to the game? I know you wanted to take
No. We did an Easter egg hunt.
Oh, even better.
Yeah.
Who needs
I had to do an Easter egg hunt.
Game when you could do an Easter egg hunt.
Right.
Anyway, I guess it was first come, first serve. Sit anywhere you want. I did notice that Jim Harbaugh and Ward Manuel were together.
I
on
noticed
the 50-yard
that too.
line.
I know.
They were together on the
I did
50-yard
notice
line,
that.
and
It's
they were
so
talking
funny.
for quite a while.
Yeah.
And that's what I took out of the whole game. That's it for me.
I'm not gonna put too much stock in that. One thing about Michigan is, and this is my institution. I learned from my institution. They know how to put their fronts up. They know how to pan to the camera.
So you think they're still at arms?
I just think it's one of those situations where they're like agree to disagree. Agree to disagree. You know, spring game, yeah, we'll do the photo op. We'll talk. Yeah, we can even be cordial, blah, blah, blah. I think but there definitely is a difference of agreement. And outside of having to, they probably won't speak.
You know, I do look at the schedule again, and it is one of those
lackluster.
Yeah, well, I mean, East Carolina, UNLV, Bowling Green. I mean, it sucks, but again, I will take where Michigan was last year over playing anybody else. Michigan was in the playoffs last year. They beat Michigan State, beat Ohio State, won the Big Ten championship, and were in the college football playoff. I will take that over a loss in September to Florida or Miami or insert USC, so whatever. I'll take it. I don't care. It's boring, yes, but so is playing Indiana. Indiana's boring. And so is playing Purdue. Purdue is boring.
Illinois.
In Maryland, and all these other teams. It's boring.
The biggest problem with people that change something that's not broke, that is amazingly intact, that works, that clearly produces success doing it that way. Obviously, I'm talking about Michigan and Jim Harbaugh. This scheduling, having this easier schedule, getting into Ohio State, then getting into the playoffs. But the people that complain about change it, they're not Michigan fans. They don't go to Michigan. They're not cheering for Michigan. They're like, hey, why don't you change it up? No, thank you. I'll keep it this way, and I'll keep having a chance at the national championship because at some point we got to win the game. At some point, we got to win.
4 home games to start the year: East Carolina, UNLV, Bowling Green, and then Rutgers. And then you're on the road for 2 at Nebraska, at Minnesota, home for Indiana. October 21st, which is a Saturday, you are at Michigan State, home against Purdue. And then 2 on the road at Penn State, at Maryland, before you wrap it up at home against Ohio State. Ryan Day's firing happens on November 26th.
What's the game before Ohio
Maryland.
State? At Maryland?
At Maryland.
Ugh.
Oh, stop.
But hey, look, I understand, but at the same time, when you're looking at that, nobody was talking about who. Excuse me. Nobody was talking about who Michigan was scheduling 3 years ago. Nobody was talking about how soft Michigan's schedule was 4 years ago. Nobody cared about who Michigan was almost losing to. Cincinnati, Army, those games. Nobody cared. Now all of a sudden Michigan is back good. Now, you guys got the easiest route. Listen, we've only been good now for 2 years. Ladies and gentlemen out there, 2 years. We're building on that. The schedule will get better in terms of preseason scheduling in the next couple of years. But we've only been good 2 years.
Don't forget, you're adding USC and USC and UCLA in 24.
Exactly.
So, yeah, that's something to think about. Also, nobody asked what the non-conference was when you beat Ohio State last year and went 12-0.
100%.
So there's that. Guys, we'll be back just momentarily. Sit right there. I want to tell you about Fairway Packing Center first. Fairway Packing Center is a way you can elevate your dinner. You can choose Fairway Packing Company, a family-owned and operated since 1956. The Burrata Blend Burgers, the award-winning Chop House Steaks. How about that dry-aged Wagyu Tomahawk Steak? See why the top chefs in the country choose Fairway. You can visit their steak shop in Grosse Pointe Woods or order online. They ship anywhere. FairwayPacking.com. FairwayPacking.com. Sourced, cut, aged, packed to perfection.
Saturdays at 1 p.m. Make sure you're watching WoodwardSports.com for our new show, Chompin' Puck.
He shoots! He scores!
With 4-time Stanley Cup champion Darren McCarty and Michael Gentry, Chompin' Puck is taking the Detroit hockey community and giving them a voice. Pros to Joes. You'll get the best Detroit hockey coverage around. Chompin' Puck. Saturdays 1 p.m. on WoodwardSports.com.
Introducing the Planet Fitness Guide to getting that post-workout glow. Step 1. What's your why? More epic energy? Better sleep? Blow off steam? Step 2. Join Planet Fitness for just $10 a month and get moving in our clean and spacious clubs. Step 3. Bask in that post-workout glow. Join Planet Fitness today for just $10 a month.
Join today at any of the 50-plus Detroit area locations.
Get a shot up. This is for the win.
All of Detroit's sports teams live on Woodward. All of Detroit's sports coverage lives on Woodward Sports. Driving the best in Detroit sports coverage.
I got one.
Oh, God. It's so great, man. How's everybody doing today? That's what I wanted to say.
Off the air is always the best part of the show.
Man. I know.
Hey, man, maybe I do. No, I'm joking.
Hey, man, look. Tom, what did you want to do here?
I was into this talk a little bit about, believe it or not, well, just go around here in Detroit. Red Wings got to win. You got to give them hats off to them. They beat the Leafs. Larkin with the hat trick, second hat trick of the year.
That's his
30th goal of the season. Thank you, Fletch.
31st.
So Red Wings might be something to talk about next season. We'll see how that rolls. And as the NBA season's coming down here to the wire, Magic beat the Pistons again. They trounced them 128-102. Detroit's a league worst, 16 wins and 62 losses, and it's not even close anymore how far back they are. They should obviously get the number one pick. They've been horrible.
Still don't know how you allow the coach to coach the team.
Well, it's not his fault.
I understand, but like something. I mean,
he coaches young. He coaches these guys, man. He coaches them up. He knows they're not going to win. He's there to teach the young guys how to play well. How I don't know.
I know. Who coaches this team? I don't know.
Nobody wants to coach this team.
Damn.
Like, at least not as it's constructed right now with Cade Cunningham being out and them really not having anything more.
They're 40 games out of first place.
Like, bro, you could double what they have and they still wouldn't be a playoff team.
No doubt.
Like, so, I mean.
Here's a side story for the NBA. Last week of the year, and check out the West race right now. Remember I was telling you the Lakers are closing in here? Well, I mean, look at this race for one of the to get up to one of the top spots.
Well, you want to be 6, right? You want to be 6.
You don't want to play in game.
Well, not only do you not want to play in game, but the Sacramento Kings are locked into the 3rd spot. So all 4 of those teams, the Clippers, the Golden State Warriors, the Lakers, and the Pelicans, believe they could beat the Sacramento Kings in a 5-game series or a 7-game series. So even the Clippers, who are 5, they want 6. Okay? Yeah. They'd much rather play the Sacramento Kings than the Phoenix Suns in a 4-5.
Well, yeah, I don't blame them there.
Yeah, this is so. Truth be told, none of these teams have a chance to win the title. Like, being honest,
you don't think the Lakers do, huh?
Paul George is out. That cancels the Clippers. Golden State. Look, I understand Wiggins may be coming back.
That was my next story.
But Wiggins has been out for 30 games. You can't just turn that on.
That's your boy.
Yeah, you can't just turn on the game when you've missed 30 games and be like, I'm just gonna come back into world title form. Remember last year he checked all the best players in the finals and in the playoffs. That's why they had such success out of him. And Clay was allowed to do his thing. But I don't think any of them got a chance. Like, I can't depend on AD for a whole playoffs. I know he's balling right now. I can't depend on that. I don't know about LeBron James' help. I don't trust that. So at the end of the day, it's the Phoenix Suns to lose.
Really?
Like, it's Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant in his last 25 games, although it's 2 different teams, he's 23-2. He's 23-2. He's the most efficient mid-range shooter of all time. He is, when healthy, the best player in the NBA, including Giannis and Jokic and all those guys. I'm still taking KD. You got him, you got Book, you got Aiden, and you got a West that's kind of falling apart and up in the ground. They didn't go get KD to just get out of the first round.
Hey, I tell you this, I am surprised that Andrew Wiggins is coming back. I thought he would take the rest of this year off.
Hey, look, man.
Because of what you said, you broke it a few weeks ago.
Right.
That he's having, what his personal problems were. His best friend and his wife got together and supposedly had a baby that Andrew Wiggins thought was his own. Might be 2 of them. At least that's what the word is. And now here he is coming back for the last week of the season, and the Warriors trying to win again. I don't know. Do they have enough in them to win, and does Wiggins hurt them now?
No, he definitely doesn't hurt him. I mean, what he did, like, you talking about, like, he's actually their only player that really can create half-court one-on-one basketball. I mean, Steph can do it, but Wiggins can slash on anybody. Wiggins can get to the cup. Wiggins can put his back to the cup. So he's the one-on-one player for them. But with that being said, in terms of him coming back, yeah, they paying him. Like, let's say the supposed situation is true.
Hear it, right?
Let's say, I get that you are going through something. Whatever it is, I get that you are going something. We pay you very handsomely to have your ass on that court and you help us win championships. Last year, you won a title. You saw how that felt. We gave you the last 3-4 months to finish whatever you had to fix. You're going to have to put that on hold and come earn this check. Because I guarantee you, he was still checking a bank statement every week, and the check was in there. Yeah. It's time to come make the donuts.
Let me say this, too. If you're – just because you buy a ticket – and I love the fans. I'm never against the fans. 99.9% of the time, I am with the fans. I want to make that clear.
I'm the opposite.
You're the opposite. I understand that. Just because you buy a ticket does not give you a right to hammer Andrew Wiggins. It just doesn't. No. And to say some of the worst things that can ever happen to a human being. Yep. Some of the absolute... Imagine your own life. This is... I'd rather be dead than in Andrew Wiggins' situation. Yeah. Like, seriously. Not really. But you get what I'm... This was horrific. If it's true, what he went through... Even if that's not true, whatever he's going through is true enough and real enough to where the Warriors front office hasn't pushed him, hasn't bothered him, hasn't pulled him in. Whatever he's dealing with, it's real enough for they to have to be a quiet paid leave. Listen to me. My kids are 8 and 6, okay? If you told me that those kids were not mine and they were my best friends... I don't know how Andrew Wiggins goes on. I just don't know how he goes on. And just because you buy a ticket doesn't give you a right to hammer him about it. Yeah. It's nothing that he did. I think this is horrific stuff. And if you're a fan in that building and you come at that guy for that, you're a jerk. You're a total
worse than a jerk.
Ass. Well, you are a total and complete ass, and I try never to swear on this program. You are a lowlife if that's what you're doing. Well, a lowlife.
You side with 99% of the fans, and they do just that. They take whatever has happened to you.
But nothing like this.
What do you mean?
Nothing like this.
What do you mean nothing like this?
Listen to him this time.
I mean, nothing like this. I've legitimately been called things I can't say on air. I don't want to say on air, and I've heard people like they will pull from the darkest place. And if the baseline of heckling, if that doesn't work, then it gets a little darker. Then it gets a little deeper. Then they try to cut you. Then they get a couple more beers in them. And now by the fourth quarter, you're gonna hear something you've never heard before. I gotta look that up, see what that means. Trust me, man, fans are horrible.
92% with the fans, not 99.9%. How about 92%?
You just dropped 7%. You just dropped 7%.
Because you're a low life. You do that stuff. Just wanted to say that.
Yeah. So I mean, go back to your question, man. It's like Andrew Wiggins, they're going to be better with him. But the only thing is, can he be what he was last year in the playoffs? Right. I don't know, because he was an NBA All-Star. He started last year in the All-Star game.
All right, let's go around the room before we leave.
Okay.
UConn giving 7.5 tonight to San Diego State in the national championship
baseball
game for men's basketball.
I think you got to go UConn. I think you got to go UConn. But 20 average margin to win in their 5 wins has been 20 points. It has not even been a tournament for UConn. I go UConn here in double-digit win.
I think UConn's going to blow them out. Side note, why is UConn like the national champ or the basketball power that gets treated like the redhead stepchild? Like, no one ever mentions UConn as a blue blood. Meanwhile, if they win this year, that'll be 5 championships in the last 30 years, more than Duke, more than North Carolina. They're 4-0 in the championship game, but they're not a top tier. But anyway,
remember Khalid El Amin?
Oh man, Richard Hamilton.
My friends used to call me Khalid El Ermanni.
Nobody ever called you Khalid El Amin. Liar.
No,
Liar.
Dude, they all did in college in 2001 when they played Duke. I remember I was a senior in college.
Cap. But
what do you mean?
Talking about them 40 years
what's
ago.
What's Cap again? Liar?
Yeah, what's Cap?
Okay, liar.
Yeah, liar.
That's not true. That is not true. You Cap.
Captain America.
You Cap.
The only reason why I might have pause, pushback, expecting the miracle is 40 years ago today, North Carolina State beat Houston. They had absolutely no business.
They had Jimmy V.
I get
They
that.
had Jimmy
I
V.
get that. I feel you. But it was basically like Iowa and LSU last night.
Yeah.
But there was no way North Carolina State.
You're right.
They were a team game. They believed in themselves. Jimmy V, like he coached them to perfection. He was great. They shouldn't have beat him 40 years ago today.
Wow.
So that's the only thing.
You know, we'll be seeing that highlight.
Look at Ryan on here on the chat. You ain't Arab, bro.
Who says that?
Ryan Lentz?
No, I don't know. Some Ryan. You ain't Arab, bro.
We are.
Last I checked. I was.
Last time I checked, my parents came over from Syria.
Right.
That Ermanni, though. You got that.
Yeah, it's a name.
Italiano.
So all of that said,
Italian Lebanese.
UConn should bury them tonight. Give the 7.5.
Give the 7.5. All right, get us out of here, Bray. Gotta go. Good day. Good Monday.
That's
Can't believe
it.
it's
So,
already
man, let's
over.
watch this national championship be nothing like it was last night. I told you the women were going to be. Let's get back into the Lions tomorrow, man. Some more mock drives will come out, and I'm excited, man.
Lions, baby.
We didn't even talk about it today, so you know we got to come up with a lot of information.
You know what time it is.
For sure, man. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Woodward Sports Network. Ermanni and Edwards with Maz. Matt, appreciate you stepping in today. Fletch, as always, leader of the show. We will see you guys tomorrow.
Cap.